I analyzed dozens of the most popular YouTube videos on Facebook ads, and what I found was that most videos fall into one of three categories. Videos that give you information, but they're designed to steer you towards using a company as a social media marketing agency to run your ads, videos designed to get you to launch your own social media marketing agency, and videos that start out teaching you how to create your very first Facebook page. What I really wanted to know was whether or not I could market my product successfully on Facebook, and if I could, what's the most effective use of my time and my money? I'm currently on day 89 of my 30-day test, and in this video, I'm going to share the advice that I found most useful, what I discovered works, when it works, and how you can avoid wasting thousands of dollars looking in the wrong places for success. The first thing I want to do is start off with what I think is the foundation for success with Facebook ads, and it really comes down to three things. Something that a lot of other videos really gloss over is the fact that not every situation is created equal. When you see crazy revenue numbers and somebody attributes it to Facebook ads, it's usually because that person nailed three things. First of all is product selection. The easiest product to sell is something that customers are already eager to buy, and it's a huge bonus if you can find other competitors already selling that product on Facebook. The next thing is having compelling creative. High quality, attention-grabbing videos and images are going to be the foundation of success. And it doesn't necessarily mean professional photography and videography. The most important thing is that your images or your video and your copy resonate with your target buying audience. And finally, you have to have a great offer. Your offer has to be good enough that when it's presented to your target buying audience, they see something that has enough value that makes them need to convert right then and there. Now, this could be anything. It could be a discount, it could be a free trial, but a great way to level up this type of offer is to include something that has a low cost, high perceived value in addition to your core product. So if you're selling something for $30 or $40, but you can present them with something that has a perceived value of $100 or more, and their cost doesn't go up and your cost doesn't go up, that is going to be a great offer. But you'll hit a home run if you can tap into your customers' fear of missing out. This can be creating a feeling of scarcity, limiting the number of items that are available for sale, or giving customers the feeling that they're going to be the first to get a hold of something that's in high demand that will give them a perceived advantage. And at the end of the day, that's Facebook ads in a nutshell. If you pick a compelling product that people want to buy, you can package it in a way that resonates with the buyers, and then you can create an offer where they feel like they have to have this product because the value is so high. You've nailed it. It's going to earn you more than you spend every single time. And that's really the key to successful Facebook ads is you have to be able to pull out more money than you put into the machine in order for it to be successful. But there's a variety of ways that you can achieve a positive return on investment. And this is something that people don't really talk about a whole lot. And that's if you're selling an inexpensive item, you really don't have a whole lot of room to advertise before you have to get a conversion. If you only have $10 or $20 as the ticket price, you're gonna have to make that up somewhere else in order to reach more customers and outbid other people. So when we look at a variety of ways that you can get a positive ROI, you can get that through a high conversion rate. If you've got a great product, a great set of creative, and a compelling offer, oftentimes your conversion rate is gonna naturally be higher. And if your conversion rate is higher than your competitors who are selling a similar product, then you'll be able to outspend them and you'll be the one who can take home more sales, get more eyes, gather more emails, etc. Now, in addition to having a high conversion rate, you want to maximize your margins where possible. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. Either lower your cost of goods, or you come up with a way to add perceived value that allows you to charge more. There's a reason why you see people selling digital products like coaching services or courses. That's because they have no additional cost once they've produced the course. When they're selling a purely digital item, they can spend the entire cost of that digital product on advertising to get a conversion, which creates scaling. What I've noticed is because of the way Facebook ads are set up, you have to be extremely competitive whenever the item is cheap because you don't have a lot of wiggle room. If you sell big ticket items, you may be able to spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars getting a conversion and still come out profitable. If you're watching this video, something you want to keep your eye on is the idea of high lifetime customer value. There are businesses out there that can operate on a loss during the upfront customer acquisition phase because they know the lifetime value of the customers they bring in is higher than what they're spending on ads. So for every $1,000 they spend now, they may only get $500 or $700 worth of initial business, but through recurring revenue or supply orders or monthly fees, they're going to recuperate that on average over the next 6 or 12 months. About 6 years ago, I launched a campaign where I was recruiting people out of fraternities to sell Greek licensed merchandise within their schools. And I discovered that I could onboard a new recruit for around $245. And for that cost, the average recruit would bring in $1,500 or $1,600 in profit per semester. That's the top performers averaged against the low performers. So what that meant was for roughly every $250 I spent on Facebook ads, I would get a 6x return on that money. That allowed me to scale very quickly up to the capacity of our printing for about a year before some of the licensing cost structures changed and we backed out of that market altogether. But the key to our success was the lifetime value of the customers. We had to spend money to onboard somebody who had a zero upfront value to us, but over the course of 5 or 6 months, they would typically return positive. So if you're selling a product and and the initial product can be seen as a loss leader because having that person in your ecosystem can turn a profit over the lifetime of their account, that may be something where you have a competitive advantage over other people who are spending into that same market segment. Now, there's 3 additional things that come to mind when I think of the foundational aspects of running Facebook ads. The first one is the more locked into a specific product you are, the more you're gonna have to rely on really great creative and a really good offer to stand out. The people who I see having runaway success, they're always on the lookout for leaning into trends. They're looking for a new product to sell that they can blow up on Facebook ads before it becomes saturated and the money falls off. That is a completely different subset, and it kind of falls into the same arbitrage niches and things like that, where you're constantly chasing that next wave of drop shipping or having a design that you can ramp up on print on demand, things like that. And for me anyways, that's not really durable income because you're creating a job for yourself, looking for a viral trend that you can continue to revenue positively from. What I found more effective is mastering the creative and the offer on a product that doesn't have to change every week. And that's what I ran my test on, was a durable product. But that doesn't mean that you can't be selective when it comes to what you're selling on Facebook. If you're gonna advertise something on Facebook, typically the product you pick out of your catalog needs to be something with at least 25% profit margins in order for you to be able to spend enough to get that money back out of it. And it all depends on your conversion rates and things like that. But to consistently be able to outbid your competitors effectively, you probably need to have at least a 25% profit margin. Then once you get a lead to your website or you've captured their email, that's where you want to utilize upsells, bundles, SMS, email marketing, things like that to increase both their lifetime value and their initial order value. And that's really it. When it comes to the foundational aspects of running Facebook ads, if you can nail those things effectively, a lot of the other stuff is just going to sort itself out. If you're trying to run the wrong product in a super saturated market and you can't outspend your competitors and your profit margins are too low, it could just simply be a losing prospect for that specific product. But I think most products, if marketed effectively, can turn a positive ROI. Structure and the optimization. There's only a few key takeaways that I found when it came to how I should structure my campaigns and ways I should optimize. The first one is something that I completely overlooked for a while. That is creating a separate set of creative for cold leads and for retargeting. What I was doing initially was I had one campaign that was running and it was getting marketed to everybody, both people who were seeing my ads for the first time and people who were seeing my ads a second, third, fifth, 10th time. Ideally, you want to separate your campaigns out. So you have creative that's pointed towards people who have never seen you before and creative that is targeted towards people who are seeing you over and over again. And those are the people that are going to click and convert. By blending those two, I noticed that my conversion rate was lower. So that may be a little higher level than somebody who's kind of at that beginner intermediate stage. That's something to keep in mind. If you're making a direct offer for a specific product, make sure that you're separating those two out whenever you finally get to the stage where you've got a successful campaign running. Now, for long-term campaigns, now this is something that did not show in my 30-day test, but it started showing up around 45, 60 days into the campaign. And that is that content and creative gets stale. When you've marketed to an audience and you've reached enough impressions, you're going to get to the point where a lot of the people in your target demographic who are your buying segment, they're going to have seen your ad. And if they've seen your ad 2, 3, 4, 5 times, eventually they're just going to create a mental block and they're going to swipe right past it. They're not even going to see it anymore. So keeping your content fresh, changing the colors, changing the placement of things, changing the text, the copy, the hooks, the images, the videos, all of those things, not in a wild way. And we'll talk about why you don't want to overchange it a little later on, but changing these things to some extent is going to keep it fresh whenever it shows up in the feed of your target audience. And when it comes to what you want to put in front of your target audience, let's get a little bit more specific about the creative and the copywriting side. There were a few key takeaways that I discovered were very effective. And the first thing that I always did was I started with high quality imagery. We didn't focus too much on video during the test. The high quality imagery was a must, and that was the product showcased front and center. But then over the last several years, I've noticed that Facebook's ad guidelines have changed significantly. Years ago, it was extremely restrictive. You could not have text on screen. You couldn't have certain things laid out in certain ways. It had to be very specific, like the headline and the descriptions couldn't have a whole lot of capitalization and things like that. It was very much like Google in that you had to be careful with what you were doing. Now I've realized that we can push through graphics that have our business name and logo, some of the offers all right there in the pictures that we're laying out on our Facebook ads, and they're doing wonderfully and they're not getting rejected. But you have to make sure that you are following Facebook's ad guidelines, because I've seen a lot of people get their accounts shut down by pushing boundaries that they're not allowed to just because they get away with it in the short term, and eventually their account gets shut down. And that's something that you don't want to do. One of the things that I hadn't really taken advantage of, and we did around the day 50 mark, was utilizing the labels. That's the area where you can put additional business information like free shipping, return policy, payment methods, things like that. That adds credibility and makes your listing look a little bit more legitimate. And then when it comes to copy, I see a lot of people just pack the copy full of keywords and random things. Make sure that your first line or two are hooking people in and that you're addressing the pain point right there front and center. So if they see your product, you're addressing the pain point that it's going to solve for them, and you've got a good hook to get them compelled. That's going to be the trifecta. Great imagery, compelling hook, a good description, some credibility, and they link to your offer, and that's where they're gonna convert. The other thing is, whenever you're creating ad campaigns, make sure that you have some branding consistency. If a customer sees multiple versions of your ads and they look completely different every time, that's not building any brand familiarity. Depending on what you're selling, a customer may need to see your offer, your product, your logo numerous times before they're finally curious enough to click your specific offer. So whenever you're developing a look and feel, make sure that it's consistent across all of your ad campaigns, even when your creative is taking new directions. Now, the next thing is the targeting and the audience strategy. This is something that you will definitely run into if you've never run Facebook ads before, or even if you've run them ineffectively. That is the catch-22, where if you don't have a seasoned Facebook pixel, you don't really have a place to begin, or if you have no traffic, you don't really have a starting place. If you have nothing, then just start with a broad audience and a low budget and test things until you start to see something click, and then shave off age groups and genders and locations that aren't producing to really focus in on the places and the people and the age groups that are producing. It's that simple. Start broad and slowly work your way down, but definitely don't just shovel money at it, because you can't spend $100 a day on ads and be able to digest that information in a useful way quick enough to not just blow through $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 without getting the results you need in most cases. But somebody gave me some really good advice. Now, it came down to creating lookalike audiences. Initially, I did not have enough customers who were converting to create a lookalike audience based on conversions. So what you do is you work your way up the funnel. I had to go all the way up to visitors to my website. I had enough visitors on my website that I could create a lookalike audience. That's about as broad as you can get. People who have visited your website for 3 to 5 seconds who also have a Facebook account. But as soon as you start targeting people who have at least visited your website, that means they are in the ballpark of being remotely interested in your products. From there, I narrowed it down to an audience who had visited a specific product page. And at that point, it's people who have not just visited my website with all of my products, people who visited this specific product page. Okay, great. Now we've got another starting point. After that, I had enough people in like a 30-day period where I could target people who had added something to cart. And from there, once you get enough people adding to cart, you're going to eventually get enough conversions. And ideally, that's where you create your final lookalike audience based on conversions. Now, in my case, I had enough luck just on people adding to cart that I was able to switch on the Advantage Plus audience. Our cost per conversion started dropping and our reach started extending enough that we didn't have to create yet another lookalike audience after that. But depending on your product, depending on your offer and your creative, you may want to go all the way down to the conversions and target for just conversions. And that's probably the next step for us as well. Now, there are just 2 more things that were huge hacks that helped us get our start. The first one was doing competitive analysis. If you're in a market where you have competitors selling similar products, you absolutely have to use the meta ads library. What that'll do is allow you to take a look at what your competitors are selling, what ads they're running right now, how long they've run them, and exactly what they look like. Once you see that, then you'll be able to go see what their landing pages look like. Where are they sending customers? How are they positioning the products? What hooks are they using? The descriptions? What imagery are they using? Most likely, if you can look at 4, 5, 10 competitors, you'll get a general idea of what kind of pain points they're addressing, what kind of hooks they're using, what kind of creative is working. If they're running ads long-term for 2, 3, 4, 6 months or a year, most likely those ads are cash flow positive for them. They're not going to be running ads at a loss. So these long-term ads are going to tell you a lot about what the market is telling them. And in turn, you can skip kind of a lot of the learning curve of figuring out what pain point do I address, what hook is going to resonate with my customers, and you can create a variation on that. Now, what you don't want to do is copy their ad, their creative, their hook, everything verbatim. That is going to get you shut down because it's essentially plagiarism. But that's significantly different than tapping into the underlying psychology, taking a play out of their playbook, and coming up with your own version of that ad. And the last and probably the most important takeaway that I found was you need to scale your campaigns gradually. I know how it is to want to just jump in and get this thing solved immediately, and I'm going to set a campaign budget of $100 or $200 per day and just go at it. You can burn $5,000, $10,000 very quickly on Facebook ads. They will spend your budget. You could have a terrible ad, you could have terrible creative, you could have a product that doesn't sell or convert. It doesn't matter. That money is going to get spent one way or another in the time period you allot. So as you're learning and you're developing, because there are a lot of moving parts, way more than we could ever cover in a video like this. There are so many moving parts, and you just have to make incremental changes, incremental adjustments, and tests as you go. And that's really best done with a small daily budget that you work your way up to higher daily budgets based on success. So one of the things I did was I started with a $20 a day budget. And then once we got conversions, we increased that daily budget for 30 days based on the conversion that we got. So if we made a sale, then we took a portion of that sale and we reallocated it towards advertisements. And when those advertisements continued to do well, we continued to ramp up those advertisements in proportion to the success we were having. That also means that when we saw a dip in sales, we didn't allow our ads to run indefinitely and spend at that higher budget. We tapered the budget down to track the amount that we'd allocated towards it, and we looked for ways to get creative with new copy, new ads, new photos, new offers, things like that. And based on that, we've had incredible success here in 2024. I know this is probably a higher level approach than some of the videos out there, but after spending several $1,000s in ads during this now 89-day test, I can say with certainty, if you can nail your product, your creative, and your offer, you can generate a great return on investment that far outpaces anything that you could do through organic social media outreach alone. If you found this video relevant to growing your business, please leave a like and a comment down below, and I'll do another Facebook ads video, maybe going into more detail in certain areas that I had to skip over. And if you're looking for something else to watch, take a look at this video over here.